What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 128th episode of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2023. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my tonight's co-host with the most, Mac Daddy Mickey Torres on the show.
What's up, everyone?
And we have a pretty radical guest on tonight. He's the one half of the creative genius behind Retro Fiend Radio, makers of the finest canon and martial arts docs on the internet. Dustin Nino is back on the show.
El Nino. But wait.
But something just feels wrong.
Wait a
Mickey,
minute.
is there something wrong?
We gotta have a fourth.
That's true. We gotta have a fourth to compete.
We gotta have a fourth.
We can't enter the tournament with just three. What are we gonna do?
You need four.
Oh my God! Look at this.
Why don't we go out there and
in.
win this thing?
Yes.
Our Chuck Norris for tonight.
Kicking harder than Chuck and just as handsome. Rounding out this righteous crew, folks, Miami's #1 screenwriting and inline skating sensation, Shaun Gold, is back on the show.
Coming to you live from the Frying Dragon.
That's right.
There you go.
I'm excited to be here, but I'm a little sad that, Ian's not. He's too busy, trying to fit in, doing nothing at home and nothing at work to be here and grace us with our presence. So with this, I'm going to do this one for him. I'm going to do this one just for him.
Maybe he's catching dumplings.
No, he doesn't have the steady hand or the accuracy to do that.
Ian is a busy man. He would love to be here with us for any other episode than Sidekicks, but there's only so much torture that man could take in one night. So we're going to have to win this one just for Ian. And if you couldn't tell, we are here today to chuck up, to beat Barry Wary's asthma, and to go out there and win this whole fucking thing. That's right, folks. This world needs Sidekicks 2, Norris Awakens, and we're finally here to give it to you. But before Joe Piscopo gets shredded, we got a dish on how Sidekicks came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course, that goes for everyone watching the live chat as well. Was it Love at First Laserdisc, Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how Sidekicks came into your lives. So, Shaun, do you remember the first time you got sidekicked?
Oh yeah, I get sidekicked all the time from this movie. It wasn't a one-time experience. This film was always on. It was one of those movies that, like, after it came out and went to video, it was always on like a Cinemax, or it was just on every other day. And it really wasn't that good, but if you keep watching it, it grows on you. I mean,
Yeah.
and then when you get older, you realize, man, Barry Wary should have went to a psych ward. I mean, he didn't have an imaginary best friend. He was having visions.
Yeah.
Full on ayahuasca trips.
Yeah,
Literally, Barry had PTSD before it was a thing.
Dude, all right. We normally don't pitch till the second half hour, but this is already making me want the drug-induced version of Sidekicks.
I thought it was a drug-induced version.
That is brilliant.
It's just, I mean, listen, I get it, and I even understood it. You need that fantasy to get you through the desperation of life, kind of like what Mickey has to do every day. You need that fantasy to keep pulling you through the doldrums of existence. So I get it, but even as a young lad, I was like, Karate Kid's better.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, dreams do come true. Dreams do come true.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I thought of myself, one day I'm going to discuss this movie and when I'm older, and look, here I am.
Discuss we will.
Yes.
So I want to hear how the Nino first got sidekicked.
Oh man, I actually saw this in the theater. My mom took me. I think we played hooky from school or something.
Were you like the only ones in the theater?
We were, yeah, we were like the only ones in the theater. I mean, probably one or other person or something. And really, I can count on like probably one hand how many times like my parents took me to the movie. It wasn't a whole lot, but this is one.
And they wasted it on Sidekicks.
Yeah, they wasted it on Sidekicks.
Wasted nothing. They celebrated life.
Though with Terminator 2. No, I loved this movie though. It was a lot of fun. I remember watching. I was like 10, I think, probably when it came out. So,
yeah, I mean that sounds about right. We're close in age.
And I was like doing Taekwondo since like 5 or 6 or something. So I was already a little karate kid, with it. So
I'll tell you what, if I only got to pick 5 movies to see on the big screen then or now or whenever, this is one of those 5 movies, hands down, no question. It's like this, it's Eddie and the Cruisers 2, It's, you know, a couple others, but I know like those are like the first choices. Like I need to see Sidekicks at like a midnight showing with like a packed house and an audience that knows every line. Like
I
It's
feel
the
like
perfect
the
movie.
director and the producer wanted that too. They wanted a packed house and a midnight showing with everybody. You weren't the
Yeah,
only
they
one.
wanted to make Sidekicks the Rocky Horror Picture Show of '92.
Exactly.
well,
Right.
it's
Well, they
not their
kinda-
fault.
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of succeeded in the sense of making it like a multiverse of madness. You know, what's the Last Action Hero sort of kind of homage,
yeah,
just because of how, you know, how many different movies they throw in there with Chuck. But that's kind
Man,
of fun.
you know, I never really thought about that. It is
was
very Last Action Hero, and
Hero.
I think it predates Last Action Hero, like by a smidge.
I still prefer, you know, Jack Slater to this. At least that was
Jack.
original.
I mean,
you know,
I've said this many times, and I probably said it on our Last Action Hero episode, but like I would love to see the Jack Slater movie series. That would be better than like half the shit Arnold did, especially in the 90s. That would be
and better than Last Action Hero.
yeah, it probably would. It probably would be.
What's the Shakespeare movie they do? Oh, dude,
yeah, Hamlet. Hamlet.
Yeah, Hamlet. That's what it was. Yeah.
Well, they almost did something kind of like that with Verhoeven and shit at one point.
Like they were
it wasn't gonna be Shakespeare, but it was gonna be like an old epic, you know, set like hundreds of years in the past and like the Dark Ages or some shit. I can't remember what it was, but
was he gonna have an Uzi and a grenade?
I hope so.
Old English,
it's Verhoeven. It was Verhoeven, so it's quite possible. So how did Mac Daddy Mickey Torres slime his way into this screening? Was this a double date? Was this a McDouble?
No, this was cable. I just randomly, you know, came upon it. It was like Shaun said, it was on cable all the time. So, you know, this was not like, you know, for me, like I saw the trailer and this and that, whatever, and I'm like, this is like Karate Kid, like a remake of Karate Kid, but not as good. Like I was kind of against watching it, and then it was on cable, and I was just like, I'll watch.
You have to. I mean, it's always on. Even if you don't want to watch it, you'd always come into it because it's not that long of a movie.
And look, you know, for I mean, like, yes, it is a rip. It is a total rip of Karate Kid, and Karate Kid is like, my love of Karate Kid knows no bounds. It's in my top 5 movies of all time. Sidekicks wouldn't be the movie that I watch all the time. Karate Kid is the movie that I watch all the time. But, you know, it's not a bad movie. It's
Showdown was around this time too. You know, where it's with Billy Blanks as the janitor, and again, it's like an underground fight. It's another rip of Karate Kid, but it's Billy Blanks. You know,
no TC 2000.
I mean, it's paint by numbers Karate Kid in a way. You got your Mr. Miyagi character. You got your you know, your girl
music. You got the theme music playing.
You got your alley. Montage. You got your alley, which the great. I mean, like, this was a '90s who's who. This was a '90s who's who.
It was a '90s who's who. I saw it and I was like, who?
Yeah.
How dare you?
But you knew Richard Mole. You didn't know Richard Mole at this time.
You knew Mole.
I was like,
and Joe Piscopo. Joe Piscopo.
Winnie Cooper.
Winnie Cooper.
I knew Winnie Cooper, and I knew Barry Wary because he was always in something.
Jonathan Brandis too. Come on.
He was in a Never-Ending Story too. He was in Sequest, and for those at home, he had a cameo in the Saved by the Bell, the Collegers Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly. And the awesome of awesome Miss Chen, so hot, and Miss Chen was in this movie, and that was like when the first thing I saw, I was like, I'm sitting there going like, yo, that's Rambo. I was like,
right.
She did get Take to America.
Yep.
You know, she
made it.
It's in the same universe. See,
she made it. Right. And it's like, and then that was the thing too. It was like, so, I mean, we'll talk about it more, but it's just so funny that all of his daydreams was about his teacher, saving his teacher.
That is something that's always been, pretty funny about that. But I love Julia Nixon, who's obviously from Rambo 2 and a bunch of stuff. She's amazing. Mm-hmm. So I will get to my first time seeing this masterpiece of a film, but I want to see who's all in the live chat so far. I see we got Angie Saunders, the Mashup Genius, Lex Luthor, Miyagi-Do Forever, Staunch TV, Oh, Staunch, man, long time. Glad to see you in there.
Hey, Dom,
Whiskey
what
401, Lewis Wagner, Stony Stone, Ba Wintermage, Black Vault News. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Staunch says he's got Joe Piscopo fever, so I could not agree more. I could do a whole series on Joe Piscopo, do this, Johnny Dangerously, and Dead Heat. Like, sign me up.
Dead Heat was, this is a masterpiece.
Dustin, we can look up what those movies are together.
Yeah. Wow. No Dead Heat.
I think I've seen Dead Heat. We can describe the plot. What is it? It's with what's the plot? I might have seen it.
Save it for the Dead Heat episode.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Say it quickly. It's a buddy cop movie with Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo. Need I say more?
Wow, that's a treat
more.
right there. Pun intended.
Yes.
I don't think I have seen it, but I'm gonna watch it now.
Exactly. So also in the chat, Whiskey 41, who I believe is Alex Bonafonte's handle, says, I watched it in a packed theater. Everyone had a good time. Where was this packed theater? I want to be there.
If it's Alex Bonafonte, I'm gonna say Sunset Place AMC. That's the packed theater he's probably referring to.
So also in the chat, Angie Saunders, I never saw this, LOL. Thank you so much for tuning in then, Angie. I hope that we can sell you on the brilliance of this movie. It is the greatest Karate Kid ripoff in a sea of Karate Kid ripoffs, only comparable to maybe films such as College Kickboxers and Kickboxer 3, The Art of War.
What about the Ninja Kid?
Ninja Kid.
You know what?
I get this one confused.
A Dangerous Place with Corey Feldman, perhaps.
I get this confused a lot with Three Ninjas.
I don't see how. But
I don't know why. But for some reason, I don't see. I don't
get
know
confused
why.
with Citizen Kane myself.
Well, if Ian was here, it would be the English patient.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you something. If those three ninjas ever came across Chuck Norris, they'd be like, yo, we chucked up.
Mickey thought, Chuck Norris was the role of Tom Tom. We all get confused.
I love and I love Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris, I mean, like, he's done so many cool fucking movies. And
although here's the thing, it brings
and the cartoon, the Karate Commandos cartoon.
So here's an interesting point. The grandfather from the Three Ninjas movies, who was also in The Golden Child, he's in a ton of stuff. He's in like a million things.
Oh, I know.
If you had tweaked any ingredients of Sidekicks, if you would put that grandpa in this and Mako in that, like this movie, and I love that actor, but this movie would crumble, I think.
Well, what's the movie? Julia Nixon and that guy were in a movie together. Fuck, as soon as you said it, like, I think he played her dad in something, and I can't think of what it is off my head.
He plays her dad in this movie.
No, you think that's Mako or Mako?
That's his uncle. That's her uncle.
And her uncle, yes.
Her dad.
Are you thinking of The Golden Child? Because that's not
Golden
Julia
Child,
Nixon.
yeah.
No. What?
Okay.
I know.
Well, while you think of that, just catching up on the chat, Bob Wintermage says, who missed watching Sequest? So obviously there's going to be some Sequest love, and I hope a lot of Ladybugs love in the chat tonight as well, because we are all, I believe,
she was in Double Dragon too.
Oh, was she in Double Dragon? Okay. But at any rate, we are all Jonathan Brandis fans here. We really wish he was still with us. It's one of the great losses. I love everything I've ever seen him in. I did not watch Sequest, but I love even Outside Providence in the obscure stuff.
I didn't like Neverending Story 2 with him. Just throwing it out there.
I didn't like Neverending Story 1, so I didn't like 2. It's not even a thing for me.
Well, then you're not going to like 3. All right, don't bring up 3.
I personally believe that if Jonathan Brandis were alive today, he would be Leonardo DiCaprio. I believe he would have been in that echelon.
He lived I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't. I'm not trying to say that it's just that I don't think he died as young as you think, is all I'm saying. Like, he was in his mid-20s, and I think it was the early 2000s when he passed.
2003 was it?
Something
probably along there. Sadly, probably close to 20ish years, but I think his career trajectory, like a lot of young kids, you're not the same brand anymore.
Actually, November 12th, 2003.
Wow,
man! So it's like almost right on the anniversary. R.I.P.
Yeah.
One of the greats, man. Just one of those things that, like, you look back on the '90s and you think of, like, people like him, and you're like, oh, the '90s weren't so bad. We had Jonathan Brandis. We had some of these things. And
were the '90s that bad for you? I mean, the '90s were pretty dope. You're like, you're looking back, the 90s with
I'm
the
just saying,
Hummers
like,
and the CGI. And
I mean,
I'm just saying, there was
everything.
Dope
I
and
love-
depressing. Everybody was depressed.
Yeah, there was too much like alternative heroin rock. People weren't allowed to smile and have fun for a little bit there. We got culturally lost, and it was there. You got to admit, there was the hangover years. Like the '80s is the greatest party that was ever thrown. So it only makes sense that for a couple of years in the '90s, we had to be all like hungover and depressed about it.
What you mean?
And
like
then what do we do? We
94?
got right back to '80s nostalgia mode, which we have been in for decades. And I love the '90s. I'm just saying it at the time. It wasn't at the time. You're like, as a kid, you're like, the '80s were better. So at least I was. But this is one of those movies that has that 80s flavor, that 80s flair. And getting to my first time seeing it, it was cable. And much like you, Shaun, I watched it the first time. It didn't make that much of an impact on me. I was like, oh, it's all right. You know, it's pretty corny. But you watch it again and again and again and again, and it starts to grow on you. And then, like all things, it goes away. It just went away for me for years. And then it kind of came back. I went through this phase in my late 20s where I was like, if I can think of a movie, I'm going to try and buy it right now. I was like making a lot of money bartending, and I paid very little rent at this dumpy little place I lived in. So I was like, I'm just going to like build enough DVDs to build a house out of them, buy enough DVDs. So I was just buying things left and right. And it came across my attention that Sidekicks was not available, never released on DVD in Region 1 at this time. And I was very upset by this. This is one of the many films statuses that led me to buy a region-free Blu-ray player. I'll try and wrap up this long-winded story. But at any rate, so I bought a region-free, a French DVD of Sidekicks. And I only had one machine that would play it until I learned how to rip my disc. That's another story for another day. But and it's a full-screen DVD. I love this movie that much that like that shitty French full screen DVD that has subtitles locked if you don't rip the disc was so worth it that once a year I had to watch this movie. It's just like when something goes away and you watch it again and you're like, oh my God, this is so much cheesier than I remember, and that's why it's so great. That's why it's so awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, the role of Professor Ian Klink's boring stories tonight will be played by the pop culture punk.
Thank you. Yes, it's true. But I'm telling you, this movie doesn't deserve to be as good as it is. It's somehow,
and it's not. That's good. I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, hear me out. This movie opens with a ninja attack outside this epic dojo. Yes. And what would probably be a better third act than most of the movies Chuck Norris had made up to that point.
And the ninja suits have 6-packs.
Yes, the ninja suits have 6-packs. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Joe Piscopo is a great villain. All those dream sequences are great. Mako really elevates the material. There's a point where they throw him the most movie bullshit line I've ever heard. And because he's Mako, he fucking delivers it like it's his shot at an Oscar. And it's something to the effect of like, the dream world is where the child lives. Growing older would not mean growing wiser if that were not so. Something to that. I'm like kind of butchering.
That's a good Mako.
But he reminds me in that moment. He reminds me of the master from The Last Dragon.
Right. Well, you know what's funny?
Okay.
Is, Mako teaches them fucking kung fu, and they never say that. Well,
they just said martial arts.
That he's Chinese, and
they just said martial arts.
Yeah, I mean,
they didn't think a viewer as astute in all the forms of the martial arts like you would be tuning in.
And you want to get oddly specific? I rewatched it. Mako was doing Hungar in the park. He was like doing this and showing them and doing like a very simple Hungar opening movement, and I was like, "That's funny."
You saw that. I saw him playing 3-card Monte in the park.
Yeah.
he was hustling those park ladies out of their money to get a free dinner at the Frying Dragon. He was
we all knew you never gamble with him.
Or playing drunk to beat up all the bikers that randomly came in his shop in like a minute, not even a minute.
So, and this is interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. So even though this movie is a shameless Karate Kid ripoff, it also did things that the later Karate Kid films would rip off. like him pretending to accidentally sort of fight these people. They did that like a year later in the next Karate Kid. Miyagi does that to a bunch of rednecks outside a gas station.
But nobody saw
And-
the
Yeah, but
next
no,
Karate
but
Kid,
we
so
don't
it's
talk
okay.
Yeah,
about
and
the
it's
next
not
Karate
actually
Kid.
not as good.
Yeah.
And it's actually not as good.
So it's a ripoff of a ripoff of a ripoff
No.
called Buy the Ticket.
Look, they take the Karate Kid format, but then they sprinkle it in there with just like I was saying earlier, just give you every little bit of Chuck Norris movie. You know, they give you the Hitman, they give you a Delta Force,
But
they give you
here's the
you know,
thing.
which is funny is because those movies really, I mean, they're not for little kids. Like
No,
you
and it
know,
was this was
they're, you know,
PG too.
missing in
but
action.
you know, I mean,
missing in
you're
action
calling
too.
back to an era. We were all like 3 and
Yes,
4
we
years
all
old
watched
watching
them.
R-rated Arnold
Yeah.
shit.
Right,
Like, you know,
Yep.
exactly. Which is like, and people don't understand how cool that is.
yeah.
You know, yeah. That's
And
that's
none of
nice.
us are violent, crazy people. Who'd have thought, you know?
And if
I don't know
people think
about
the
Mickey,
movie's
but yeah,
too
yeah.
saccharine or if it's too strange
But
or whatever, I
my
have
whole-
to say this. And Christian said I have to mention it, and I'd be remiss if I didn't. It's brought to you by the director of Forest Warrior. So if you haven't seen Forest Warrior, you know what you're in for. Chuck Norris.
Actually, I don't think I have seen Forest Warrior.
Yeah, he's like a mythical
Never saw it.
forest warrior. He fights bears, turns into a bear, I think, and fucking fights people.
Oh,
and shit.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's also written by Aaron Norris,
Aaron,
Right,
which, you know, I assume has to be a coincidence. There's no way that that's nepotism right there.
All Norrises are friends.
All Norrises are friends. That's
Yeah.
true. When the Norrises awaken, they all awaken on set, on
and
time.
like Chuck Norris was a
Under
producer
budget.
on this too. So
Of course.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
else
This is a
would he?
vehicle.
I wonder what his terms were. I have to be the guy he fantasizes about. I have to get in every scene possible. I have to use all the great movies that I like. I mean, he fought Bruce Lee. He could have put that
exactly.
Right.
Oh.
He should have put
I-
that in there.
in there.
I feel like this is sort of in hear me out for a sec. This is kind of Chuck Norris's Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Now hear me out for a sec. Like he had done some shit. He was in that Bruce Lee movie, I think Game of Death. He was, you know,
he was
in
in
his little
Way of the
canon movies
Dragon.
and stuff. But
Yeah, he
this,
was-
I feel like, was his biggest, most ambitious, most mainstream-ish movie. Like you didn't
Yeah.
see the Hitman on cable very often. You didn't see even like, you know,
Yeah.
Top Dog on cable, you know, all that other
Yeah.
stuff. You know, Delta Force, Invasion USA, that shit wasn't on cable that regularly. But
Mhm.
Sidekicks got a lot of play. It got like a push. People were like, I think we've got something here. And I think they kind of did, but it sort of didn't really matter. But I think the timing was maybe off. I think in the 90s, people were sort of culturally moving on to different things. But I don't know. I think this movie has aged like fucking wine. And now that we're in this like big 80s nostalgia mode, this is like the 80s movie we got in 1993.
Yeah, totally.
But it's also pretty 90s. I mean, it's 90s
is.
time capsule. It's very Last Action Hero-y.
It's very
got all the-
early 90s.
Yes,
Yeah, it's very
totally.
92.
But
It's so
you know, my
90s.
whole thing
Yeah,
is like,
totally.
I was disappointed by this movie too, because in the sense that it's all in all, this movie is just okay for me. But like, spoilers here, I thought, the tournament, like he's doing this tournament. I'm like, oh, okay, they're gonna fight. So like that's my whole thing. Like you go to a tournament and you fight. Then you get like all these you get the weapons, you get the chop, and then the only time that him and the bully actually, go at it is breaking fucking bricks.
Yeah. That
Well,
was.
they did fight unofficially in the gym.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
that was like it wasn't good. Like as far as like you got a little bit of like like
I
like a little
think
bit of
they had to make it a little different from the Karate Kid. Something, having like, because Mr. Miyagi and Kreese didn't fight in the ring.
Exactly.
Which I would have loved to seen. But this was sort of that.
Right.
So they kind of gave.
Well, ironically, they were supposed to, that parking lot fight was supposed to be the end of the first Karate Kid movie.
Right.
And
Correct.
they actually didn't shoot it because they were like, you know what, it's this, we got it. We don't need this scene. And then they probably wish they had shot it. And when they had to go do the sequel, they're like, fuck, we got to come back here and set this up and blah, blah, blah.
Bring back the referee from the first one. We need him.
Pat Johnson,
He
the
just
great Pat
died.
Johnson,
Rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
Yes,
He just died.
Another
Wow.
one who
Yeah.
I believe he trained with Bruce Lee as well.
Yes.
Am I wrong? Is that correct?
Or
Dustin?
Betty
I-
Jet.
Yeah, that I'm not 100% sure. I don't know, but that'd be very possible. He's definitely old enough. He's in that era. I just don't know off the top of my head if he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
I think it was Benny the Jet.
He definitely probably knows Benny the Jet and probably definitely
I'm sure
with him for sure.
I feel like he's older than Benny the Jet, though.
He's definitely he's older than Benny the Jet. He definitely, like I say, he was one of those old school karate guys from.
Well, duh. I mean, Benny the Jet was in the Sandlot. Of course, he's older than him.
Yeah,
he outran Hercules. I mean, the Beast. I mean, come on.
Yes, not Rodriguez or Urquidez.
I know. I'm making.
I know you know, but just for the people at home, they might not know.
He was killed by Smalls. If you don't remember, you're killing me, Smalls.
You know that this movie made like $17 million.
Yeah,
on a budget of
1993 money.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the budget was, though. I don't know what the budget was. That couldn't have been too much.
Well, I mean, they filmed it at the park. They filmed it at the high school. They filmed it on the street. Yeah, they had
all in Texas. All in Texas.
Yeah, that's true. Texas has got to be one of the cheaper states to make a movie in, even in the 90s.
It was probably because Chuck Norris was doing Walker, Texas Ranger, and it was like, I didn't want to drive too far from where I'm filming Walker, Texas Ranger.
And I might be mistaken, right? But I don't think Chuck Norris has done a Western before. I mean, he's done neo-Westerns, sort of modern Westerns.
I don't necessarily know. I don't want to see Chuck Norris in a Western.
I won't watch it. I really, but tough time.
Hates Westerns, right?
Yeah,
I'm not a
Westerns.
Fan.
I'm not a fan either.
Young Guns are give me nothing. Like that's the Young Guns, the greatest Western.
No Tombstone.
Young Guns 1 and Young Guns 2. Did you know there's 2 of them? That's how fucking good they are. That's how fucking good they are.
You know the
and
they both 7.
Go back and check the episode we did about Young Guns.
Last time I checked, Lou Diamond Phillips wasn't in Tombstone.
As I called it, Youngborn.
Youngborn. Oh, that's true. That was one of the best. That was one of the greats.
Variety show, everyone. You'll
I should mention in the chat. Whiskey41 says Aaron Norris is Chuck's brother and favorite director. Yes, we were aware of that. We were just kind of being goofy there. Obviously, we know that's some hardcore nepotism. I know they've worked together many times. So we're just about at pitch time, and we can start a little bit early if we want to, because Ian's not here and no one's going to give us a hard time about it. Plus, I was thinking about it a lot today, and I probably could pitch just about 10 or 11 sequels just watching this movie one time again today. So I can certainly jump in and dive in first if you guys are apprehensive. But if everyone in the chat's got ideas, please let us know. This is the time. What do you want to see? Oh, and here comes a giant one already. Not quite the elevator pitch, but let's see.
Keep it to
This is really long. So
summarize it, please.
Okay, the years tick by. This is from Alex Bonafonte. The years tick by as Chuck Norris ages and his legend continues. His fans grow up and some succeed in various fields from martial arts, acting, even robotics. Memes take off as his World Combat League flounders. Joe Piscopo continues his decades-old beef and relishes in Norris's perceived failures. As Norris steps out of the limelight to care for his real-life cancer-surviving wife, he receives word that Barry dies of an asthma-exacerbated lung illness.
Oh my God, it's dark.
Oh, shit.
It's getting dark. He hosts a fundraising tournament for the American Lung Association and signs every last autograph on the way out. Joe Piscopo shows up to heckle him, and Chuck keeps his cool. The last autograph is for a mid-30s man who stays still at the exit. He's smiling, grateful, and eager to show Chuck an iPad video of his accomplishments. Unbeknownst to Chuck, the man is a robotics guru with local government security contracts in several cities. His favorite robot model is the karate security robot that can even roundhouse kick, and wants Norris to be involved and become his chief spokesman. He politely declines and is suddenly shoved by Piscopo, knocking over the tech guru and revealing the robotic leg braces that are noticeable as he struggles to stand up. I need like a sip of water because there's so many words.
It's the only way you could do it. The kid in the wheelchair at the end. The kid in the wheelchair at the end.
Yeah. Chuck gets mad as Piscopo challenges him to a fight and disrespects the memory of Barry. The crowd disperses in unison and they immediately fight. In an odd turn of events, Chuck lets his guard down and Piscopo lands a roundhouse kick to the face that goes viral. His final punch is dodged by Norris and Piscopo breaks his hand on a steel beam. In the aftermath, Piscopo seeks out the tech guru to capitalize off his mild internet fame and test the karate bots. While updates improve the bots, videos do service of the robots kicking people in the face for menial but annoying infractions. Video after video goes viral. The bots around house kick people in the face for littering, doing arm bars, for spitting on the ground. The public calls for the bots to be decommissioned, but the efforts move at the speed of litigation, and the security contracts are ironclad. Chuck Norris decides to take matters into his own hands and head to Faro Robotics headquarters to confront the tech guru. He passes through metal detectors with 2 duffel bags, takes out the security bots by dual-wielding water guns. He uses a robot head to access the elevator of the top-level office. He confronts the boss in person as he emerges from a wide automated wheelchair. The boss says, "You don't remember me, do you? I knocked you over by mistake." Not that. All I ever wanted to do was earn a black belt and be just like you, and be just like Barry. Dojo after dojo would never let me in, even in Barry's dojo. And now with my bots, I'll never need one. 2 more bots emerge from the flanks, and Norris takes each one out by throwing cans of Mountain Dew into their huge jaws. Piscopo shows up acting as if he's a mentor and gets his ass kicked by Norris, but the CEO reveals his new paraplegic karate suit, and Norris must stand down as the guru reveals he is the kid from the end of the first movie in Sidekicks 2. Dedicated in loving memory to Jonathan Brandis, Mako, and Richard Mall. Well, that is wonderful. Thank you, Alex Bonafante.
I kind of zoomed out and there. Could you start again from the top? I'm going to pay attention. I heard something about Mountain Dew. Do the do, or in this case, Mountain don't.
Like RoboCop meets Sidekicks.
RoboKicks.
RoboKicks.
Yes, I guess.
Watch this, or there will be trouble.
Sidekicks.
I love that you tied in the kid from the end of the first one. I always kind of wanted to see that movie just because I thought that would be ballsy. And even though Ian's not here, I do need to make a McGee and Me reference because I feel like that's the kind of ballsy that only McGee and Me had, or maybe a Cartoon All Stars to the rescue. But so there is a comment. I'll get back to that in a second. Do you guys have any pitches? What do you want to see in a cycle?
Really simple. All right. Really simple.
What's Shaun got? Yeah. How are we skating it?
After Mitchell leaves Cincinnati and goes back to the West Coast, a new gang of surfers kick him off the waves, causing him to doubt himself. Fortunately, he meets all-star surfing legend Kelly Slater, who teams up with him and has him beat the new king of the waves. Let's just call him the Preps. Only for Mitchell to find out that he imagined the whole thing, and he had the power inside of him the whole time. It's Sideborn.
Oh my God.
Done. See, you don't need to write a whole thing.
That's
Done.
it.
You're just in and that's it. In and out. I want to see
the episode's over. Yeah.
I'd rather watch that.
I'm just saying. He turns around and says, "I couldn't have done it without you," and nobody's there. See, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And it's probably a lower budget. So
can we get the kid from Side Out too? And get St. John Smith there and all that.
Are you not knowing the name of C. Thomas Howell right now? Is that what's happening?
Yeah,
Ooh,
right now
the kid from Side Out. You don't know who
he was
that
in Gettysburg. Remember?
I go blank.
Oh my Lord!
Yeah, it would be the Side Out and the Little Malibu Bikini shop, like combined.
Oh, dude, those are.
It would be like one of those kind of competitions and tournaments. We would change it. Of course, there'd be a cameo. We'd have Wally would come in for his contractually obligated appearance. Mr. Dewey would come in and wave with the mom who was in Ferris Bueller, and they'd all just wave with the caramel corn from the bleachers. It'd be good. It would be a callback, but it'd be a new movie. And it would also, pay homage to this movie just with the imagination. If Jonathan Brandis is around, I mean, he could be there. This would be the Sequest time, He could pop out of the Sequest and wave or something. I don't know. But, it ties together. So, Dustin, let's see what you have to say. Better be a ninja.
I just want to comment on that real quick. Not since Hard Bodies 2 has a film been so needed and so required, and that is just wonderful, beautiful stuff right there.
Well,
I would see that on opening day.
Yeah,
you need a Kickstarter backer? I'll send money. Where do I send the check? Just let me know.
It'll be on Kickstarter, and again, for $50,000, not only do you get to be an associate producer, but you get to go to a live filming and have a cameo as loser number 3. Think about it.
Why be loser number 3 when I could just be on the side watching the competition?
Well, Mickey, you're always a loser no matter how much you donate, so you can just keep that in mind.
So one thing that it's becoming a tradition on VCR now is, I guess, what I have to call the time travel sequel. That if you had the DeLorean, you can go back in time when, Jonathan Brandis was still alive. Like, what would the 1994 sequel to Sidekicks be? Like, say this movie came out in Karate Kid and it was a big hit at the box office. And and it's funny, when I'm putting the poster together, the thumbnail for this episode, really gave me Karate Kid 2 vibes. Like you could just put those heads right on that poster and it would line up perfectly.
Okay. This
So
is
what
it
would
be.
that version be like? You know, Jonathan, Brandis, and Barry and Chuck and Mr. Lee all go where?
You have to suspend your belief a little bit. Okay. So Sidekicks 2 finds Chuck Norris, losing much of his glamour because he missed a giant contractually obligated movie premiere or sponsorship because he just randomly participated in the karate tournament, causing him to lose everything. So he starts to doubt himself until he imagines Barry as his sidekick and Barry is his go-to. So now Chuck Norris will imagine himself, in the gymnasium defending Barry. He'll imagine himself at the Frying Dragon. You reverse the roles of it. That's how I would do it.
That'd be funny.
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's fucking brilliant.
I'm sure Chuck Norris had something to do. He couldn't just enter a tournament. I'm sure Mountain Dew or something had like something riding where you had to be at Times Square or something to release it. And he's like, nah, it'll be fine. And it's like, you broke your contract. It's not fine. And the studio dumps him and he loses everything, including his confidence. This is what you should be doing, Hollywood.
You need him to like do a tournament too. And he needs Barry to be his fourth.
Yeah, there you go. And Barry at the time is already like, going to college. You don't got time for this. He's joining the frat. He's got a girlfriend.
Him and Winnie Cooper are doing math and everything like that.
Yeah. He's showing her the quadratic equation in person. So yeah, he has to come back.
Maybe this is sacrilegious, but
sacrilegious or sacrilegious?
Sacrilegious.
Okay.
Means you're sacrilegious and it's delicious at the same time.
Okay, I was like, is it candy? I was like, hold on a sec.
It is. So what if they had parted ways with Chuck Norris and like every year or two they got a sidekick movie, but it's different. Like you said, you got the surfing one with Kelly Slater, or like a skating one with Tony Hawk, or like what other what other like avenues could we go? I mean, or it could be martial arts. It could be like he does this a Seagal one. Like, what would the Steven Seagal, like, he would be so shitty to some kid who's a fan. Like, he would get in the ring, he would join to fight. I feel like he would have to be the villain, the arch villain in Sidekicks 2 or something.
Right.
I feel like he would have gotten Last Action Hero. Like, he would have just gotten that in a way. Like
Seagal?
Yeah. No, like another sidekick would be Last Action Hero. It would be Arnold Schwarzenegger is
the Arnold version of it for sure.
Yeah.
But like, what's the Stallone version? What's the Cousin Cody, Sasha Mitchell version? The Van Damme version.
You can keep it like sports themed in a way. Like, I mean, like, all right, so it's karate. You could do, you could do boxing. You could do, so at the time, in 94, maybe you're talking, Roy Jones Jr. Maybe you're talking
I
like.
Totally thought you were gonna say Tyson.
Not Tyson. At that time, I think he was.
I was gonna say he was in jail.
Yeah. So
even more of a reason to use him.
But I don't know. I mean, you could have got. I mean, like Sidekicks is just basically that. It's like any. You could have got a superhero, like trying to think. But I mean, I don't know.
Thanks for being prepared, Mickey. Thanks for
coming to the show. Well, it's
movie in '94.
We asked these questions. I mean, like, could you even do it? We'll get to like, could you even actually do something now? But I mean, going 94. Back in time, there's a lot of movies that I would have seen. Like, I would have seen just the Julia Nixa version of this. Like, there's some girl who's getting bullied and she trains her, and like the kind of next Karate Kid version of Sidekicks. I would have gladly watched that.
You could totally done that.
Right.
But then, Cynthia Rothrock could have been the girl.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Cool. What if like Jonathan Brandis, he went on to work on Walker, Texas Ranger as a stunt performer, stunt coordinator, got hired on there, and then he finds out that all the stunt guys are pulling like really big heists or something. It's like a ring of fucking corrupt stuntmen.
Corrupt stuff.
Yeah, that they're all like pulling crazy bank heists with fucking car, whatever. Stunt people do shit.
That's a new one. I don't think I've ever heard those terms combined. It's a ring of corrupt stuntmen. They're tired of taking fake bumps and not getting the credit.
I was about to say, what would corrupt stuntmen do?
Well, it's kind of like the Ocean's 11 or whatever. How like one guy's a gymnast and the one guy's they use all their different skills to pull off crazy heists. Like one guy's the driver, one guy's the fighter, one guy's the gymnast.
They're Nancy carrying it. They're Tanya Harding all the actual stars. So they can't do the scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And they're not only doing it on Walker, but on every movie that Chuck works on and it worked on, so they can do flashbacks too, and you can be like Wolf McQuaid.
Would their motivation be the fact that they were like in the middle of the credits? They didn't get top billing.
Yep.
It was just
whatever it is.
You could do Jackie Chan too. You could do Jackie Chan in '94 too.
Yeah,
Rufus.
Rufus cameo.
Rufus.
He was dying to get on the show tonight.
Listen to this man.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about.
Don't forget to like and watch.
Well, I thought Rufus would come in here and he might have some good ideas for a Sidekicks too. So, because I also like to pitch bonkers off the wall, especially for movies I love as much as Sidekicks. The really, really cheap version. What if the next Sidekicks 2 wasn't really about Barry, but it was about Barry's dad, Beau Bridges? He's getting bullied in life and in work, and he's got.
Well, you got to put them together. You never really got Miss Chen and Beau Bridges together.
It was implied.
Boom.
It was
there's
implied.
A romance. Yeah, there's a romance that's teed up there, and there's a passion that burns.
You kind of want to see that. Maybe they get married.
Brother.
They get married.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mr. Lee becomes Barry's uncle.
5-year-old brother.
Oh, that's not a bad thought. So I did also have a thought about again with on the bonkers side, you could do one about Joe Piscopo. You could just do the Johnny Lawrence story of Joe Piscopo. Like he's not all as bad as we thought. There's more to him. We got to find out who was his Kim Soon Young. What made him that way. It's an interesting. It's an interesting character.
The origin tale.
Yeah.
So it would be Sidekicks 2, and it would focus on him.
Yeah. Someone's just a big fan of what's it, Jonathan Stone or Sensei Stone.
Right, because Chuck, it says that comment at the end, like that guy's never changed or whatever. So they have a past.
Yeah, they have a past. They have a
shadowy past.
Because he always wants him to kick his ass. They always wanted to kick your ass.
I kick his ass. Kick his ass.
They were both at some Cannon Films party in the early 80s, and they were trying to get a multi-picture deal, and Menahem, Chuck went with Menahem, and
Stone kept on losing parts. Stone kept on losing parts to Chuck.
Just give me flashbacks to all the Cannon movies and days. What was interesting about Chuck wearing the ninja mask? He didn't. That's why he turned down American Ninja supposedly, because he didn't want his.
He wouldn't
wear. Yeah, he didn't want his face covered.
I heard he turned down fucking Spider-Man for the same reason.
Yes.
Well, I can't see Chuck Norris as Spider-Man.
I could see someone pitching it on cocaine in the 80s.
But the opening of Sidekicks is the closest we'll get to an American Ninja with Chuck Norris. I prefer the Dudikoff as the American Ninja.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
There's only one American Ninja. It's not American Ninjas.
Right. It was a fun little homage and tons of Cannon flashbacks.
But I tell you what, rewatching this movie today really got me thinking, man, I miss Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
he was something. Prime, yeah.
It was an unfortunate time because we had so many great action stars and just not enough great action scripts to go around. Even though I love the era, it's my favorite era, the 80s and 90s action movies. But like anything, you're not going to bat even close to 500. Like most films in any genre are going to be shit at the end of the day.
I think Jason Statham is as far as we get right now. Jason Statham is like the new. Oh
God,
star.
would he be? Well, are you pitching Sidekicks 2 with Jason Statham? Some kids like,
oh
man,
awesome.
Man, I just want to drive a car really fast with Jason Statham.
Dude, the guy, dude, come on, that guy's got legit skills. Transporter.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's very fashionable. He always dresses really nice.
Yep. Home front. Yeah, home front. there's a lot of good. He's got a new one coming out that's gonna be cool.
I love it. He's very talented, but I feel like for a minute there he was getting to be Rob Schneidery, where it was like every movie was the same thing. Like Rob Schneider is a stapler, and it was Jason Statham like, I gotta drive this car really fast or I'm gonna die, or like I gotta run around and keep my heart pumping really fast or I'm gonna die. Or
Yeah,
like,
but you know what? That's like that is the thing that all action stars get in. Like
I guess
after a
like,
while, they get stereotyped as this thing, and then they just all their movies are just the same thing.
I'm
Kind of like being on this show. You get stereotyped.
But if you really like them, and you like, it's kind of like that guitar player only plays 3 notes or whatever like that. But if those 3 notes are hitting you and you're feeling those 3 notes, that's all they need.
You'll never realize this until you really think about it, but AC/DC rocks you with the most space between the notes of any band.
Exactly.
And it's
everybody says the same thing. Like all AC/DC songs sound the same. I'm like, I don't give a shit. They still rock.
That's kind of like Zack Attack. Zack Attack only had a few songs. They rocked me. Friends Forever.
They were friends forever.
Brings a tear to my eye.
Now there's a crossover.
And did they ever have a chance?
Right.
That's a crossover that I want, though.
However bonkers the sequel is, I just wanted to end on Lone Wolf McQuaid waking up in the desert after eating peyote buttons, and it was all just
and call.
I wanted to start like that.
Wolf.
Or start like that, sure. Yeah,
I wanted to start like that. Chuck Norris, like Sean, like I envision it like this. If you're doing it now, and it is Chuck Norris, you have to pay respect to the fact that Jonathan Brandis is no longer with us. So I think Chuck Norris. He lost it all, like Sean said. He's strung out. He's drugged up. He's fucked up. He's chucked up. He's, hung over. He's the Johnny Lawrence, but every night he dreams about Barry. Barry still needs him. He's having those flashbacks from those vignettes from Sidekicks 1, and he doesn't know why. He knows Barry's dead, but somehow he feels like Barry needs him because the ghost of Barry is telling him that there's some other kid that needs you, and he needs, Noreen, and he needs, get the fucking frying dragons back together and do this. I know Mako's not with us anymore, but
you're really depressing it. He's strung out, he's drunk. Mako's not with us, Jonathan Brandis is not with us. Like it's
and Chuck's got to find a reason to live again, and he gets it all back, and then he sets up this kid, and this kid's gonna be the next Chuck Norris.
He finds the Black Belt magazine that he had.
He sees himself
take together.
He finds a picture of Barry in his room with the Hitman poster on the wall.
Right. And is the pull-up bar still there? And he's trying to do the
pull-up bar's there.
Oh,
everything's there. Everything's there at the Frying Dragon.
There, Bo
This movie is
there.
Sad. So I got to talk about this too.
The decor hasn't changed.
I got to talk about this too, though, because one thing that has always stuck out to me is the fact that this film was scored by the great Alan Silvestri, who did the Back to the Future trilogy, Predator, Forrest Gump, Roger Rabbit, like a gazillion.
Well, it has a good theme.
Avengers.
I mean, it's got the training theme is pretty catchy. It's a toe tapper,
So here's the thing. To me, I fancy myself a student of music. Mickey, I know you do as well. To me, none of this entire score sounds like Alan Silvestri music, except for the Western scene. That's the one scene where I feel like he's like, okay, I'll give you the what you hired me for.
I'll give you the hits.
I'll give you some, I'll give you the A-game shit. The rest of it is like, I'm gonna do it all digitally in one day.
That's what we call just give me the check.
I'm playing new shit.
Yeah, basically.
Listen to the new shit or don't listen at all.
This is both cases, I guess, of cultural appropriation, but Bill Conti did Eastern music a lot better than Alan Silvestri. That's all I'm gonna say. They're both great composers.
For sure. You can't put this soundtrack up with a Karate Kid movie.
And I almost feel like half the songs in this that they call score are actually not score. I feel like they're just something that they found. And maybe Silvestri only scored like one or two of those scenes. But like, there's a scene where the guy does the kicks and the score goes with it, and it always stuck with me. It's like bam, 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 bam.
That was a pretty cool scene.
But you know what?
And I'm like, that's not Silvestri. That cannot be Silvestri.
That was like the music that they were playing. Yeah, that's
technically
that's
source. Yeah.
That's like
source.
the music that fighter
Right.
was performing his katas
Correct.
to.
It's got
Right,
they did like
right.
gymnastics. That's what the thing was. It was like
Yeah.
gymnastics. It was a
The source
gymnastics
music
routine.
was far better than the score music.
And then like
whatever
the
shit's
music, the music when Barry's like, you know, some of those training scenes, like I really I'd be shocked if that was actually Silvestri. It sounds like, you know, some of the, I'm not going to try and do it, but it's a layered thing. You'll know what I'm talking about when he's pulling him on the bike. That music is like, what is this? Is like if music could be stereotypical, and insensitive, I think this might be.
Right.
Oh, there was so, but there was
like,
that time. There's so many things that, like, you know, like nowadays you throw that movie on and you know, that you're sitting there going like, damn, this is like, even the Karate Kid movies, like you go like, man, how did they get away with that? You know.
Well,
but
I mean,
it was a different time.
You know, and
different time.
Look at, I mean, I always say this when people are like, Mr. Miyagi is problematic. He puts on this fake action as a stereotype and blah, blah, blah. You know what? Look at the other famous Asian American character in American pop culture movies from 1984. It was Long Duck Dong. Okay, so tell me again why Mr. Miyagi's bad.
Right.
Like, come on.
Well, that's the thing too, is like that's the time of those movies. Now we have shows like, you know, Warrior, which is produced by like Shannon Lee, Bruce Lee's daughter, which is, and that's all in line with her vision and how things should have been. It's great. But back then it's like coming up from shows from like Kung Fu with David Carradine and shit, you know. You got shows produced by like, you know, by a lot of times Jewish writers, Jewish producers who bring in elements of Judaism, pass it off as Eastern philosophy because they don't know anything else what to write from, you know, and then you play some pan flute by somebody else. It's not even really technically an Asian weapon, right?
The master of the pan flute.
Right. So it's like, and it all just plays perfectly and no one cares because that's what, you know, it works and and I love it. It's a product of its time.
I will
that is like, to me, what you just described is like American culture though. It's like
exactly. Yeah, 100%.
It's like, yeah, that is what that's who we are. That's what we are. You know,
an amalgam of just of everything and throw it together.
And how funny was it that, you know, Winnie Cooper is a cheerleader for the school, but what sport is she cheerleading for? They never have like a basketball team or anything.
They're the pep rally.
This is gonna get the movie canceled now, but their school team is the Lamar Redskins. So
that's funny.
That ain't gonna fly anymore.
That team already changed their name. So
I'm fucking shocked that ever flew to begin with anywhere ever. But what can you do? Different fucking times. Jesus.
Well, just
Christ.
the way that Richard Mole too was just talking to everyone too is like, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
half of that.
Yeah,
it'd be so fired.
You lady, so get up there, you little lady.
With the other ladies, Kabrinsky or Grabowski.
So hypothetically, because we still have some time, if Jonathan Brandis was still with us, what kind of Cobra Kai show would we get out of this? Because you know it would fucking happen.
Oh, he wouldn't do it. I have a feeling
he's too cultured. He wouldn't miss it with this.
I like my vision of Brandis would have been he would have been a Leo DiCaprio. So if he's a Leo DiCaprio, he ain't doing this.
Yeah, he's doing highbrow stuff. He's not going to like a YouTube produced thing that becomes a hit.
You're not calling up Leo right now and going like, "There's a Growing Pains reunion that we're about to do. Are you down?"
Right. You mean to tell me that he straight up passed on those reunion movies and it wasn't just a scheduling conflict?
I mean, well, the scheduling conflict only happened around Titanic and around The Revenant. You know,
exactly.
So he couldn't make it. He was busy.
What's he booked to?
I'm like, I got Romeo and Juliet. I got Titanic.
I got a lot going on. I mean, Ben Seaver keeps calling me. Boner keeps calling me. I was only in an episode or two with them. I don't know why.
I mean, I just finished Basketball Diaries. I'm like,
I would say that's very possible that he could be have a trajectory somewhat like Leo. But I don't know. If you look at Leo's early career, you look at Jonathan Brandis, I don't know. They seem.
Well, Sequest was the last thing he did. So, and it was a hit for him. And I could see that.
Sequest, it was very successful.
I could see that at that time running for, a good amount of seasons.
I have this theory about Sequest only because I never watched it, but I feel like
I watched like 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 episodes. That was it.
This is like
I
this
feel
is
like there was a
dumb.
time in the 90s where it's like you had your A shows and your B shows, maybe your C and D shows, whatever. And like if you had room for one of those shows, an E show, if you will, you would watch Sequest or
That was on
Thunder
the
in
E
Paradise.
channel.
I would say it's like Parker Lewis can't lose. Like
Oh,
that's an A-level
that's
show.
an A. That's an A.
Well, so to me, but I guess Thunder in Paradise. If I had to choose, then yeah, it would be
Thunder in Paradise. Yeah.
I mean,
My
that-
secret identity.
Baywatch Nights. I'll give you is
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
about a C or D, but like,
Dude,
Oh,
Baywatch
man.
Nights is awesome.
but I still
We're
like
s-
Baywatch Nights.
Dude, that is the
You
best
know,
and worst
we're
television ever.
dangerously close to making a Silk Stockings reference without Ian on the show.
Oh, yeah, wow.
I mean, like
This
Silk
is-
Stockings was the roadmap for Baywatch Nights.
Dude,
So-
Baywatch Nights, Wings, Silk Stockings. Dude,
La
the
Femme
USA
Nikita.
Network
You know
was
what?
awesome.
In the
Nikita.
90s,
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
90s, it wasn't outside of the realm of possibility that some way, somehow, there was Silk Sidekicks, some sort of crossover there.
Oh my
Like
god!
that.
Please.
You know, like
Oh.
everything went to cable and
Silk
almost everything
board.
became.
With Miss Chen?
Yeah.
Oh, Miss Chen. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Miss Chen.
I'm just saying, like, look at like the Cruel Intentions sequels and tell me that couldn't have fucking happened to Sidekicks.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
it could
it
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
You
then
know it
yeah,
could have.
our luck, we would have got the more Van Wilder sequels.
college
Yeah,
years.
like-
Well, we could have got the college years with Barry and Winnie.
Oh.
But he already
Man.
did college years.
What did he mean? Who did?
Jonathan Brandis.
What did he mean? They already did he go to
Saved by
college
the
with that
Bell.
Yeah, he showed up in the Saved by the
Oh,
Bell,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Thanksgiving college years. He just shows up
Thanksgiving.
randomly for like a
Really?
cameo.
Because it was
What's
like
Jen?
because they were
Damn it.
like trying to get like they were trying to like raise money and like they didn't have turkeys and Jonathan Brandis comes with a fucking turkey.
Yeah, but
Does
then
he
Mr.
come like
Belding
as
comes.
himself?
Yeah, he comes
Yeah,
as
he
himself.
comes
Like,
himself.
I'm the international sensation, Jonathan Brandis.
Jonathan Brandis.
Yeah,
Screech
yeah.
flips
Wow.
out. Screech flips out. I mean,
Didn't
everybody
Joey
flips
Lawrence
out.
come too? Joey Lawrence came too, I think.
I know Mr. Belding came, and everybody's like, "Who's this?"
So
And Screech's
basically,
like, "It's Mr.
everybody
Belding."
who was every actor who was employed by NBC at the
Pretty
time
much it was like, if you were
report
on the
for
lot that
fucking
day-
work.
Right.
If you were on the
Yeah.
NBC lot that day, you were in
Yeah,
that. You
so
were in this
funny.
episode.
Dude, you got to see that episode.
CTV is you all
Matter of fact-
cameoing on this show
Right.
or
Matter of
getting
fact-
fired.
Listen to me right now. Next week is Thanksgiving. You put on
Yeah.
that Thanksgiving episode of Saved by the Bell College Years and tell me you don't feel good after watching that.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
There's more than
That's
one way
how
to
you
waste,
celebrate.
to
Turkey
waste
Day.
30
I'm gonna-
minutes of your life, but why not?
I'm gonna watch the whole
And then
fucking.
after that, you throw on the Saved by the Bell, the Christmas episode with the homeless girl and her
In the
dad.
mall? In the,
Yep. Yep.
and then
Did they-
after
did they do
that,
it-
you
Did they do a Christmas episode for the summer job shit with Leah Remini? I can't. What the fuck name was that?
No.
No, that
They
was
never did a
summer.
Christmas-
That was
a
summer.
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 They
did they do
July
Christmas
4th.
for that summer
They
job?
didn't do
Summer.
Christmas
Yes.
in July.
Yeah.
Like,
He just wanted to buy a car, and Carosi
That's
had
all
to,
he
They
had to do.
should have.
Get him.
Well,
He
maybe
wanted to
it
get his-
wasn't,
he wanted to
Maybe
get
it
his
wasn't-
Brandon Wash on. He
Yeah.
like he
well, the thing
wanted
is maybe
His
it
Mustang,
was a
yeah.
summer job. He could have stayed there into the winter. Whatever.
No.
Well, that defeats the purpose of the summer job. It's a summer job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got stuck out there.
No, because he had school. He went back to school.
They turn off the lights in the fucking resort.
I'm
The
just saying.
the beach club. They're stuck
Nah,
there.
Bayside.
what are you still doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
fucking Beverly Beach Club. You
They're
know what? I
living
had a
nuts.
fucking witty comeback in there until Sean said Beverly Beach Club, and I'm thinking about the illegal card games that were held there.
Oh
late
yeah,
at
with
night.
David
Oh,
Silver.
yeah.
You had to
Yeah,
dress like
that's
you were a
right.
1920s
Hey, but that's
flapper.
where David Silver got discovered basically. Cheating on Donna with his girl and like making.
I
up
thought
these
you meant like
songs.
musically. I thought you meant like musically
He
discovered.
did.
He
got,
did.
He got discovered musically there too.
They were
Be my
playing a
love.
game.
Both.
Yeah.
He waited too much for Donna. He couldn't wait
Alright.
anymore.
Oh,
He couldn't. I mean, she was like,
But to
"Didn't you have a
squash
best
it
friend?"
because you know what? He did. He couldn't wait for Donna, and he didn't have to because he had Dana Barrett from Vacation.
Exactly. And she's the one that, like encourages music, and he's like singing a song in there.
There would be no Peach
I think
Pit After Dark without
her
it.
dad was a record producer or some shit like that. And that's how David Silver got discovered.
Boom. Serge Mencken.
And then you got Color Me Bad showing up and like saying like your shit's hot, man.
All right. Well, before we get deep into the 90210 soundtrack catalog, we are just about out of time. So I think we pitched a couple of Sidekick sequels in there, maybe some that are watchable.
And you got some good, like Beverly Hills 90210, Saved by the Bell stories, some episodes to watch.
I would love
we
to
at VCR
see...
like to give you everything.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything.
Lots of value.
We can all dream of a Sidekicks that takes place in the spelling verse. And goddamn, we should just
let this episode be the biscuits to your turkey.
Taste the biscuits, folks.
And remember,
get sidekicked, taste the biscuits, and ride the gravy.
With a little bit of gravy on top. We just gave you all of that.
Welcome. That's what it is.
Don't be scared of that Parmesan.
I love you all.
So before we wrap it up, is there anything you guys have got going on you want to let people at the home know about?
We just dropped part 3 of Revenge of the Ninja, our docu.
Yes, I gotta watch that.
Retrospective. It's great. It's out. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. Check that out. It's on YouTube.
That's right.
If anybody is, I was gonna say, if anybody's in the San Diego area, there's a screening for Revenge of the Ninja on Sunday at noon at the Digital Gym Theater in downtown. We're going. It's gonna be a blast. I think Sam Furstenberg is gonna do a little Zoom intro there, and
nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Dustin always working on something cool.
You're giving California so much to be thankful for this year. That is incredible.
Yeah, just
Shaun
remember
Gold, what's
Christmas
going
on in the summer.
Shaun Gold, what's going on in the works down in Miami?
Well, I can't top that. Oh, I got Sam Furstenberg giving us a Zoom, and we're doing Revenge of the Ninja. I mean, I'm never going after Dustin again.
Oh, that's
that's it. I'd rather go after Mickey. Mickey, what's happening? Nothing. Okay,
you can do that. You can do that.
Yeah, no,
I'll take it all.
Yeah, what's better than being on top of VCR Redux? So
that's what she said.
Yeah, see, there you go. Just happy to contribute. A little sad that Ian's not here, but hopefully he'll watch this episode over and over again to get the pitches down just perfectly.
Well, Ian's probably at home, as Whiskey 41 says, tasting the goodness of the biscuit. So before we wrap it up, though,
my people.
That's right. Or do you have anything going on, Mickey? Anything Rick Barth related?
Nothing right now. I'm in hibernation, so to speak.
Hibernation
for a decade, man. Come on.
The world awaits. Yes, live shows coming again.
Hopefully.
But you Fandom fans might want to come back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we keep the all 90s November going for our Rocketeer episode.
Ooh,
as always,
Thanksgiving, Rocketeer. Oh, okay.
That's right. Hey, if you can't go wrong. So if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow Knight Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.